This is the Leo Climaco podcast.
Something I learned about myself with my therapist, right? She revealed to me why I chose cocaine.
Why are we here? Tell me.
Yeah. So it has to do with worthiness. Cocaine makes you feel like Superman. It makes you feel powerful. It makes you feel like you're somebody. It makes you feel worthy.
Interesting.
And I lacked that growing up.
Yeah.
I was always skinny. I was always made fun of. I was never a macho guy. And I thought I had to become this macho guy. So I did cocaine to become this macho guy.
Interesting. I see.
So she told me that cocaine really wasn't my issue. It actually helped me. It showed me how I can be a man. Okay. The issue was I abused it. Right? I took it too far.
Yep.
I swam in that bitch.
Hell yeah.
You know?
I know.
Instead of just taking the message that it was there to give me and moving on.
Yeah.
So I feel like you and I share that.
You know, the thing for me that the reason I used cocaine is, and I know now, is because it was the only time I could ever feel present. And so for me, it's like I'm diagnosed ADHD.
Same.
And so, not surprised that we clicked so well. That's why I realized I was using so much cocaine, is because it was the only time I could ever, I mean, I was clucking in the kitchen until whatever, right, with my buddies, or you're just kind of locked in the coke dungeon doing your thing.
Teeth grinding?
Yeah. I don't know, you're coming up with the best ideas that you're all going to do. But in a world where I never learned how to just be present, because I was always living in the past or living in the future, never feeling safe in the present, which you comes from trauma, right?
Yep.
And so I didn't know how to be in the present. I didn't know how to be I didn't know how to be in my body. I didn't understand how to do that. And so that's what cocaine gave to me, is that when I did it, I was at least here. And so it was like a relief for a moment, just to put it all down. And I didn't know that until, much later. But that was the thing for me with the cocaine. And obviously, if you have ADHD, dopamine doesn't work right in your brain.
Right.
And so those hits of dopamine, until the party runs out and you just can't even manufacture it anymore, right? And it's just like, okay, the first one's good, but then that's it. I'm chasing the high. And my whole life was chasing the high.
And the sun comes up and you feel like shit.
Bro, when you fucking walk outside and the birds are chirping.
Oh my God. And you feel like a biggest piece of shit.
I'm like, God damn, here we are again, dude. Yeah. And that was the thing, is that, so what does an addict look like, right? Because when I started actually making my money was when I had the biggest coke addiction. I'm literally traveling around the world, speaking on stages, talking about attempted suicide and all this thing. And I am a full-blown addict, and nobody would have ever guessed. And I'm living this secret life with my coke friends who all know, but then I'm out being top paid speaker everywhere else.
Wow.
And so when you really walk out and it's like that, you're just thinking to yourself, I am such a piece of shit.
Do you still have those friends?
No.
I do that.
And not because I don't, we're not even the same frequency.
Right.
So it's not, we can't even exist.
And you were sabotaging yourself by being there.
Okay. So that's the thing that we really need to touch on, is that because my paradigm subconsciously was I'm unworthy, I subconsciously find things to reinforce that.
Right.
And so many men and people in general, men do not realize that. And that's what I'm trying to tell the men last night in the workshop. The reason you got into this narcissistic relationship is because you subconsciously need to justify how unworthy you are of love, and that you only get abandoned. And so we continually, our thoughts and our internal thoughts and feelings are a direct reflection of our external reality, right? Like thoughts become things, double slit experiment, quantum physics, all the things. So if in this realm, every single thing is energy, and if I am the universe, I don't even know if any of this is real, because when I die, it all disappears anyway. So what's the, that's why I'm always trying to slow people down and say, listen, if you can learn how to be present and let it go, your reality is literally a reflection, blueprint of exactly how you feel on the inside.
Yes.
It's telling you exactly what to do and what not to do. And I didn't realize that until, again, I was much older, and I ruined everything. And literally on June 24th of this year, when I finally had literally everything taken from me, I was brought to my knees, and the only thing that was left was God. And I didn't know that until then. And now I know. And I'm like, oh, great. I'm Moses coming out of the desert, or out of the desert, man. I'm like, let's go. Wow. And I feel so upborn and so alive for the first time in my life that I don't know what's happening next, but for the first time I'm present. I'm not worried about the future. I'm not lamenting over the past. I'm just like, yo, I'm here with Leo in his great shoes and this whole awesome studio. And I'm like, what's up, dude? Like, here we go. Let's have a conversation.
Let's fucking go.
Yeah.
Let's go deep into narcissistic women.
Okay.
Because usually when that word is brought up, it's men.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So first off, let's talk about narcissism in general.
Yeah.
I don't want to be and this is important. I'm glad I'm on a podcast talking about this. I specifically talk about female narcissists on my page, on my pages. One is because that's my experience. Two is I found out that there's literally no other man in the world talking about it right now, publicly like I am, which I didn't know when I started. But I just want to say is that like I hope that if any women are watching this, I do not mean to dismiss you. My mother suffered at the hands of a narcissist still to this day. She's in her late 60s, and I can't even have a conversation with her about what I'm doing because it's so triggering to her. And so I want to just make sure that women know, like, we're not here to dismiss anything or invalidate what you've been through at all. So let's talk about narcissism for a second, and we can get into the female thing. If you look up narcissism in the dictionary, narcissism is a personality trait. It's a personality style. Narcissism exists on a spectrum.
Okay.
So you can have healthy narcissism. Like you and I are have healthy narcissism in the fact like we're overconfident. You can't beat us. We're going to win no matter what.
Right.
Well, I'm not a narcissist. My heart bleeds for people. I'm overly empathetic.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing that we need to understand. The second thing is on my pages and anywhere else, I don't talk about cluster B disorders because I'm not a licensed therapist. I'm not a clinician. I'm not a psychiatrist, none of that.
Right.
So it's important that I always reference that narcissistic personality disorder is a cluster B disorder, and you have to be diagnosed with that. And most narcissistic personality disorder people will never be diagnosed with it because
they're not going to go to a doctor.
They don't go to a doctor. Okay, so that being said,
because they think too highly of themselves.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
Although I do say Nick Cannon literally just came out like a week or so ago that he was diagnosed with NPD, or narcissistic personality disorder, which is a big step forward for people to be able to.
Nick Cannon, really?
Nick Cannon, yeah.
Wow.
And so it's it's there. God's working.
I could explain the 12, 13 children.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And so narcissism. So the way that it works is I like to tell these men, dude, there are so many millions of men across the globe that are being abused, whether it's physically, emotionally, and or psychologically, and men can't talk about that.
Because they're embarrassed as fuck.
And there's no safe space for this. Yeah. There's no safe space for them to do that. Like when I made my first post on September 1st about narcissism, I was like, I actually put it up and it got like 10,000 views in like an hour, which is way more than I've ever gotten in anything. I got so scared I took it down.
Really?
I was like, oh my God, I don't want my ex to see that. Then I put it back up. It got like another 5,000 views. Then I took it down. And then I denied it for 10 days, basically denied God for 10 days. And then eventually he was like, bro, I started going to therapy. My therapist is like, I think that she might have been narcissistic. And then I just realized I had to start talking about this. So real quick, and I'll say this, over the course of my 3-year relationship, I went to 3 different therapists because I knew in month 6 of this last relationship that I knew month 6, dude. But I was so codependent, which I didn't know at the time. I had anxious attachment style, but I didn't know at the time. That I just kept letting this woman talk me back into coming back. Oh, you're not a real man. This is what you do. Every man walks out. And this is just like a little tiny scratch of the surface. But the point of it is that I realized that.
Did she get off on that?
Yeah, narcissists, they hardcore do. So we would get in these big, massive blowout fights over something. It could be the dumbest thing. And then she'd want to go have sex. And I would always be like, you're like the dude and I'm like the chick. And I don't mean to do that dismissively, but like, I'm like, now I learn is that, yeah, it actually turns them on because it's a control and power. And that's like the same story for all of them. And it's not just men or women. Wow. All narcissists are the same. They're so unoriginal. They all have the same playbook. And so what I'm trying to tell these men is like, they come and they follow my page and they want to, is she a narcissist? And I'm like, at the end of the day, that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, dude, because at the end of the day, what matters is, are you in a toxic relationship? Yes or no? Yes, I am. Are you a toxic person? No, I am not. Okay, then the reality is that this is happening for you to be able to choose yourself.
Right.
Now, we know that we live in a world of duality. It's a world of contrast. It's an energetic universe. You cannot have yin without yang.
Correct.
So I'm always of the school of thought that everything that happens is a man's fault. I believe that that's just how the masculine role needs to be, is assumed. And so what I say when I say that to people that want to be triggered by that, it's like, again, I knew in month 6 that she wasn't for me, right? But I made the choice to stay. So what you don't change, you choose. What you allow, you accept. And in that regard, whether she's narcissistic or not, it does not matter, because after month 6, when I knew better, I kept choosing her because I couldn't choose myself.